It's 4 in the morning. The world is still cloaked in darkness, the streets empty and silent as most of the city sleeps, unaware of what's about to unfold. The world outside is silent, but inside a Phoenix home, a thunderous knock shatters the peace. The sudden noise jolts a family awake, hearts pounding in the quiet before dawn. Flashing red and blue lights streak across family photos, casting harsh shadows on the walls, reminders of happier times now interrupted by fear. A father, still in his pajamas, opens the door to uniformed officers. His face is weary, his eyes searching for answers in the faces of the men at his doorstep. His wife clutches their sleepy daughter, confused and scared. The little girl rubs her eyes, not understanding why her mother is trembling. There's no shouting, just papers shown, a name confirmed, and the father led away in handcuffs. The process is cold, efficient, and silent, as if routine. This isn't a movie, it's America 2025. Scenes like this are unfolding in real neighborhoods, behind real doors, while most of the country sleeps. The man, Carlos, a roofer who has called this country home for 15 years, had a decade-old traffic violation and no legal status. He worked hard, paid taxes, and built roofs over other families' heads, never imagining this would be his fate. His daughter will wake up to an empty chair at breakfast and a mother struggling to explain why. The absence will echo through their morning routine, a void that words can't fill. This scene is playing out thousands of times, a silent epidemic of separation. Families are being torn apart quietly, with neighbors often unaware until it's too late. In immigrant communities, fear is constant. A slow car creeping down the street, a knock at the door that could change everything. Folders of emergency contacts and birth certificates kept close just in case. Families prepare for the worst, hoping it never comes. This isn't just policy, it's a deliberate strategy, fulfilling a political promise to get tough on immigration. The debate plays out on TV screens, but the consequences are felt in living rooms like Carlos's. The goal, we're told, is safety. Officials say these actions protect communities, but the reality is far more complicated. But as a child cries for her father, we have to ask, who is really paying the price? The pain is personal, the loss immediate and deep. The policy is a hammer, treating every immigrant as a nail. There's no room for nuance, no space for compassion or understanding. This is the reality of America's immigration crackdown. It's not just headlines, it's lived experience, reshaping families and futures. And it's happening in neighborhoods just like yours. The story of Carlos is not unique. It could be the story of your neighbor, your coworker, or a friend. In today's America, no community is untouched. Let's talk numbers. The scale of what's happening is staggering, and the data tells a story that's hard to ignore. In 2025, ICE is detaining over 85,000 people every single day, nearly triple the number from just a few years ago. This dramatic surge represents one of the largest increases in detention in recent history. That's a city's worth of people, locked up across a sprawling network of federal centers, private prisons, and local jails. These facilities are scattered across the country, often in remote areas, making them difficult to access. Billions of taxpayer dollars have been poured into ICE, fueling more raids, more beds, and more contracts, especially with for-profit facilities that benefit from every new detainee. The more people detained, the more money these companies make. Detention has become a booming business, with profits tied directly to the number of people behind bars. Deportations are on track to exceed 500,000 this year, most from inside the country. People pulled from their homes, jobs, and even traffic stops. Families are being separated, and entire communities are living in fear. The system is overwhelmed, overcrowding, poor medical care, and inhumane conditions are rampant. Many detainees are forced to sleep on floors, and basic necessities are often in short supply. Many detainees are held far from family and legal help, making it nearly impossible to get support or representation. Isolation only adds to the trauma. We've built a parallel justice system, big, expensive, and growing every day. It operates largely out of sight, but its impact is felt in communities nationwide. Human captivity has become a commodity, traded and profited from, with lives reduced to numbers on a balance sheet. And the conveyor belt from American communities to deportation flights is running faster than ever, moving people out of the country at a pace we've never seen before. The official story? This crackdown targets the worst of the worst. Violent criminals, gang members, threats to national security. But ICE's own data tells a different story. The vast majority of those arrested have no criminal convictions, just immigration violations. Over 2/3 have never been convicted of any crime. For most, their only offense is lacking the right paperwork. Even among those with convictions, most are for minor offenses, traffic violations, or re-entering after deportation. Actual violent crimes make up a tiny fraction. The laser focus is really a floodlight sweeping up ordinary people. The narrative of targeting criminals is a fundamental misrepresentation. The reality? This is mass enforcement, not precision policing. The promise and the practice are worlds apart. Who fills these detention centers? Not hardened criminals, but long-term residents, parents, workers, neighbors. Many are asylum seekers who followed the rules only to be jailed while their cases crawl through the courts. Of those with convictions, fewer than 5% committed violent crimes. Most are for old DUIs, minor drug charges, or traffic offenses. The system treats a father driving to work the same as a violent felon. Family separations continue, parents arrested at work, children left behind. Even green card holders with decades-old offenses are now being detained and deported. This isn't targeted enforcement, it's a dragnet. The people caught are overwhelmingly not threats to public safety. The policy punishes ordinary people on an industrial scale. It's a bait and switch with millions of lives upended. Let's put faces to the numbers. Behind every statistic, there's a real person, a family, a story that deserves to be heard. Maria has called Georgia home for 18 years. One night, a simple traffic stop for a broken taillight changed everything. She was arrested not for a crime, but for her immigration status. Her 2 children, both born in the US, suddenly found themselves without their mother. Now they live with their aunt, clinging to hope while Maria waits in detention, uncertain when or if she'll see them again. Ahmed risked his life as a US military interpreter in Afghanistan, helping American troops. But a paperwork delay led to his detention at the airport, despite his loyalty and sacrifice. He spent 6 months in a Texas facility, separated from his wife and children, his service and spotless record ignored by the system. Javier was brought from El Salvador at age 4. He grew up American, went to school here, made friends, and built a life. But a dropped charge at a party, something that never even led to a conviction, cost him his DACA status. Now he faces deportation to a country he can't remember, a place that's no longer home. These aren't rare exceptions. Stories like Maria's, Ahmed's, and Javier's are happening every day in communities across the country. Parents, veterans' allies, young people who know no other home, these are the people caught in the system. Their lives are being dismantled by a policy that values enforcement over context, over compassion, over basic humanity. Each story is a direct result of government choices, policies made in offices far from the people they affect. The human cost is staggering. Families are torn apart, dreams are shattered, and communities are left grieving. These are the people behind the statistics. The mothers, fathers, children, and neighbors whose lives are upended. Their pain is not accidental. It's the system working exactly as it was designed, with devastating consequences. This is the real face of mass detention in America today, and it's happening every single day to people just like Maria, Ahmed, and Javier. The impact goes far beyond detention centers. It's tearing families apart. Over 500,000 US children live with at least one undocumented parent. For them, enforcement isn't politics. It's the fear of losing a parent at any moment. The trauma is real: anxiety, depression, PTSD, plummeting school performance. Some end up in foster care, creating a generation of traumatized, parentless citizens. Fear spreads. People avoid hospitals, police, even schools. This makes everyone less safe. Crimes go unreported, illnesses untreated. The policy is supposed to enhance safety, but it's undermining it by driving people into the shadows. It's corroding our national character, normalizing family separation and hardening hearts. We're not just damaging immigrant families, we're damaging our own sense of decency. This is the true legacy of mass detention. The economic fallout is massive. Removing hundreds of thousands of workers creates labor shortages in agriculture, construction, hospitality, and food service. Crops rot, projects stall, restaurants close. Prices rise for everyone: groceries, repairs, meals. The crackdown acts as a hidden tax on American consumers. Immigrants aren't just workers, they're consumers and taxpayers. Their absence hurts local businesses and reduces tax revenue. Undocumented immigrants contribute billions in taxes, but deporting them removes that support. Detention itself is costly, $150 per detainee per day, totaling over $4.6 billion a year. That's money not spent on schools, healthcare, or infrastructure. We're paying more for less, all for a policy that targets people who mostly pose no threat. It's an expensive, inefficient way to address a complex issue, and the economic pain is felt by all of us. The country is deeply divided. Supporters see the crackdown as necessary for sovereignty and the rule of law, believing every undocumented immigrant is breaking the law and must face consequences. They point to security and fairness, arguing that strict enforcement deters future violations. For them, social disruption is a necessary price for order. Critics see the policy as cruel and counterproductive, punishing ordinary people and traumatizing children. They argue the data shows most detainees aren't dangerous and that the crackdown creates a humanitarian crisis and labor shortage. Critics call for a functional legal system and a path to legal status for those already here. The current approach, they say, solves nothing and creates new problems. The debate isn't just about policy, it's about the soul of the nation. What kind of country do we want to be? In late 2025, the detention system is at its breaking point and the nation is divided. Is this policy working? The data says no, billions spent, hundreds of thousands detained, but little impact on public safety. The costs are everywhere. Higher prices, overwhelmed courts, strained services. We're paying a steep price for a policy that isn't delivering. But the deepest costs aren't financial, they're human. How do you measure a child's trauma, a community's lost trust, or the damage to our national soul? This policy is reshaping our society and testing our values. We must decide. Do we want a nation defined by fear and walls or by compassion and pragmatism? The price is higher than we've been told and it's paid by all of us. The real question is this: who we want to be?